Hi, this is Elisa Bosley, the food editor with Delicious Living magazine. I'm here with Pamela of Pamela's Products, one of my all-time favorite gluten-free manufacturers. Wonderful stuff that she makes. And I'm just delighted that you're here at Expo West with us today.
Well, thanks for having me.
So can you just tell our viewers, how did you get into this particular segment of baking? What's the background there?
I am a third generation in the natural food industry. So my grandparents had a health food store back in 1940 in San Francisco, where there was a little bakery in the back, where they actually made horrible tasting wheat and gluten-free products way back then. When my father and my uncle took over the company in the 60s, I was a cookie packer for my dad, still wrapping these same horrible tasting wheat and gluten-free products, rice cookies, soya cookies, that kind of thing. When I worked in the office, I would actually see these little kids who had to eat these products because they had food allergies, and I didn't think it was fair. So it was a challenge for me, having grown up with a father who was a baker. And I was a baker. I'd been making cakes from scratch since I was a little kid. I was the dessert kid. It was a challenge for me. Could I make something that actually tasted good so that when these kids went to school, their friends would want to share their food with them?
Right. And what was the breakthrough for you on that?
Well, I don't have any allergies, so I eat wheat all the time, and I would make up products that were wheat-free and compare them to wheat counterparts. The whole plan was I wanted it to taste as good as wheat, and therefore if it tasted great, then everybody could eat and enjoy these products, that they'd be great tasting food products. They would just also happen to be wheat and gluten-free. Okay. So obviously, because of the industry I come from and my father's knowledge, I had access to a lot of information and a lot of ingredients and know-how, and so I was able to put together products 22 years ago. It's when I first launched Pamela's Products.
22 years ago? I didn't even realize it had been that long. 22 years.
Time ago. 22 years ago, the Anaheim Natural Food Show was my very first natural food show. I was in the arena. That's how small the show was in those days. And I came with my products, and nobody cared about wheat and gluten-free in those days. I had my products out, the retailers were walking around, they all loved the product, and I would say, oh, and they're wheat and gluten-free as well. And they would say, we don't care about that, they just taste great. So we started the business with that foundation of making great products that people recognize as tasting good. And now, years later, we've expanded our line. We have a full line of baking mixes, we have a ready-made cake line that we've just come out with cheesecakes and coffee cake and chocolate cake with frosting, as well as a full line of cookies.
And I remember last year seeing a massive gluten-free wedding cake, which was pretty thrilling. So what do you see in your future, and even for the future of gluten-free foods? I know it's changed immensely in the last few years. A lot of awareness, a lot of great stuff coming out. Where do you see that going?
I see gluten-free as becoming a part of our everyday lifestyle. I see that when people are understanding that gluten-free is becoming an everyday term. So whether or not you are gluten-free, you see it now. It's they talk about it on sitcoms, on TV. You see it on packaging from different manufacturers. So what's good about that is it makes everyone feel comfortable with that wording. It's no longer that weird, what's gluten-free and why do I need that, and I don't want that because it's some weird thing. So now it's becoming a part of the everyday vocabulary. As a result of that, people become more comfortable with foods that have that claim on them, and they won't be so afraid of it or feel that they don't want to eat that because that's not their problem. Like a potato is gluten-free, rice is gluten-free. Do you have to be gluten intolerant in order to eat rice or potatoes? No. But you eat them because you enjoy them. Our product line is a product line that is eaten by many people who have no gluten intolerance. They just like the taste of the product. So I see gluten-free is becoming a part of our lifestyle, the same as soya milk and rice milk, as yogurt did in the 50s. Yogurt was the weird food in the 1950s, and today everyone eats and enjoys yogurt, and no one ever thinks twice about being odd or being on a weird diet because they're eating yogurt. Right. So I see the lines continuing to expand. I think it'll become much more commonplace. Right now there's a lot of players in the industry. I think that eventually it will all calm down and there will be definite players that have very strong lines, but it will be part of the regular supermarket shelf.
Well, and I think all about the taste, which I think you've done so well and have really been a pioneer in that. So thank you so much. Thank you, Pamela, for being with us. This is Elisa Bosley with Delicious Living.